So welcome to my YouTube channel. That's what we call the good life. It's the beginning of August and I'm going to take you for a little tour around my home garden so you can see how everything's doing it and compare to what yours are doing as well. So first of all, I've got some pots here on the patio. I've got some Cape gooseberries. I mean, at the moment we haven't got any Cape gooseberries. We've got some bloom coming, so hopefully we're going to start to get some fruits really soon. I've never really I grew some absolutely ages ago, and I put them in too late and they didn't really do that much, so hopefully these ones are going to do a little bit more. I've got a chili pepper here and I can't remember what chili pepper it is, but it's got lots of little blooms on it, and I think we might even have some little chili. Oh, there we go. Is that a little chili forming? They're just starting to, well, the buds are just starting to form. I'm sure I did see a chili there somewhere, but I can't find it now. But at least we've got bloom, so that's a really good start. As we move over, I've got my SubPod. In the SubPod there, I compost in there. I've got lovely parsley that I started off myself from seed, and that's doing absolutely fantastic. I've very recently popped some chard in here and that's not doing too badly. It's been really dry, but it still seems to be coming on quite well. I've got some other herbs over there, some chives and some thyme. I look like I need to trim those a little bit, but they're doing really well as well. As we move over, my aubergines are really quite a way behind. I think it must have been the start to the year where it was really cold, but I have got blooms starting to form there. So I've got the little buds and the blooms will start to come out really soon. It looks like that one's going to open, so hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next few weeks we'll start to see some lovely aubergines forming. I did put some radishes in, but the flea beetle seemed to have attacked it a little bit. If anyone's got any top tips on how to keep flea beetle at bay, I'd be really keen to know, because it's something that I really struggle with things like radishes, but we'll just have to see how they all come on. I planted out some lettuces the other day and hopefully they'll be okay, but like I said, it's been incredibly dry, so we're just going to have to see what happens. And some more chard that I have left over, I've kind of like scattered it around, in and around. The peppers, I've got to say, I've never grown terribly good peppers before, but we have got, these are sweet peppers, we have got some forming. I'm not sure, the plant on this one is really stunted, but I've actually got quite a big pepper growing, which seems quite odd. But there you go. Don't quite know why it's not growing up very much, but yeah, I've got to say, peppers are not something I've ever grown terribly well, and it doesn't look like this year is going to be any different to any of the other years. But lots of things are still doing really well. I've got my tomatoes here, and they are starting to ripen. So a few weeks ago, if I'm really honest with you, it didn't seem like even the tomatoes were forming, and I did think I was hardly going to get any. Within the space of a few weeks, I've got loads of lovely tomatoes all starting to fill out, so I've actually got plenty. It just seems like they're just a little bit behind. So if yours are a little bit like mine and a little bit behind, then hopefully they'll catch up. I have been watering them a little bit more regularly, which hopefully has made a difference. Obviously I'm still pinching all the side shoots out, and I do need to remove some of the leaves. I don't know if you watch me regularly, then you'll know that once you've got a completed truss of fruit like I've got there, I can remove all the leaves below it, and so I do need to do a little bit of pruning to take all those out. But yes, that's a bit of work for me to do, but definitely things are starting to look a lot better. As we come over, my hollyhocks, as you can see, have exploded, so I'm not sure what's happened there. Completely nuts. And we're just going to go into the greenhouse to take a look. And if I could just ask, if you are enjoying watching this video, you can do something called Buy Me a Coffee. We will put a link up on the screen and there will be one in the description. But if all you can do is comment, like and subscribe, I will still be more than grateful, and it's just great to have you watching. So as we move over, I have trippies of corn. So again, I've never grown corn this tall before, which is absolutely nuts. I don't know if you can see, we've got a little ladybird on there as well. Now, how cool is that? I've seen a lot more ladybirds this year, actually. Seeing that ladybird there, loads more ladybirds, which is really good because they get rid of some of the pests that we don't want to see. So I haven't got any corn on them yet. Just very tall plants. And when I was out today, I did notice that some of the corn in the fields is ridiculously high, so I wonder whether that is an offshot of this, this unusual weather that we've had this year. But again, I'd love to know how everyone else's corn is doing, but hopefully we will get some corn. These are actually meant to be mini corns, although from the sizes of the plants, it'd be quite interesting to see what I end up with. As we head into the greenhouse, So I've got a few plants in here. I normally have some of these things on my windowsill indoors, but we've been away a few times and it's easier just for people that come and water my plants to do everything in the greenhouse. So I've got some basil, I've got some coriander, and I've got some spring onions that I do need to prick out and to plant on, and I'll probably do that in the next week or so. I've just not got round to it yet. I've got some more Cape gooseberries here. I've kind of spread them around. I've got some up the allotment, some outside in my home garden, and some here, just to see what does best, really, if I'm honest with you. I don't know what, if I'm honest, I think the ones up at the allotment are probably looking the best, but we'll see what happens. My cucumbers have been giving me bountiful amounts of cucumbers, and they're the little lunchbox size ones. So even though the leaves are starting to look a little bit tired, I think that's just a sign of the fact that I've got so many off of them. The plants are looking a little bit tired, so I should probably give them a little bit more feed. But I'm probably pulling a couple of cucumbers off every day, and I've only got 3 plants. So I've got to say the lunchbox variety I find very, very good. I've got some more tomatoes in here as well. I don't really think these are any much more ahead than the ones outside, if I'm really honest with you. It's really odd. You expect these ones to be ripening a lot quicker, but I think it's about the same with the ones that are outside as the ones that are indoors. So I don't, no idea how that works, but it's definitely obviously been warmer in here than it has been out there. But yeah, got loads of lovely tomatoes forming, so again I need to take some of these excess leaves off when I get the chance. So we're just going to pop up and we're going to look at a few other bits, and then we're done. So if we just head off outside. So my home garden isn't actually that big, so you really can pack quite a lot into a small space. I must admit, before I got my allotment, my father-in-law was always really amazed how much I managed to squeeze into such a small area. So as we head round, I've got some more tomatoes here. And actually I've got one that's just started to ripe, so these ones aren't as far ahead, but I've still got plenty of tomatoes forming on there. I've got some more lettuce and some more chard. I do like a little bit of chard. It's just so incredibly versatile. If you've never grown chard, it's very much like spinach, but you can get coloured ones like Bright Lights chard, and it's just like cut and come again, so you continually keep getting more. So I did have my strawberries in there, and they've nearly finished. So despite being completely overshadowed by the corn and the hollyhocks, I've had the best strawberries I've ever had. So you'd have thought with it being so overshadowed they wouldn't have stood a chance, but hey, they've survived, and I've got some humongous strawberries off of them. So these are my beans. These ones are a little bit behind the ones at the allotment, but I am still getting beans off of them. As you can see, there's one up there. I did actually only just pick these about an hour or so ago and gave some to my brother-in-law. But they kind of like camouflage, they hide, they really do. I don't know if anyone else grows beans. They're a bit like raspberries. You think you've picked them all, and then you move another leaf, or you're just about to walk away, and then you see another one. And one thing to bear in mind that I often miss is always to look around the bottoms of the plants. When I started all these off, I generally always grow the climbing ones, but someone gave me some extra plants and I didn't think to ask whether they were bush or climbing. Turned out they were bush, so they're not all climbing up. But even if they're not bush variety ones, it's always worth checking around the bottoms, because again, often they hide. And these ones obviously would be around the bottom, because obviously these are little bush ones, but even the ones that aren't, yeah, it's always worth checking around the bottoms, because you can easily miss them. And what you don't want to do is, if you leave them and they get too big and the pods swell out, it stops them from producing more beans. So always be really thorough taking your beans off. Now I hope you've enjoyed the tour around my home garden. If you're wondering what you can sow or plant in August, there's still lots and lots of things you can do. We'll pop a video up on the screen, and there'll also be one in the description.